Reza Shah Pahlavi, born on March 15, 1878, in the small village of Alasht in the Mazandaran province of northern Persia, came into the world amid poverty, uncertainty, and the waning days of the Qajar dynasty. His father, Abbas Ali Khan, a soldier in the Persian army, died when Reza was still a child, leaving the boy to grow up in modest conditions, largely shaped by his mother, Nushafrin Aramlu. Deprived of formal education and stability, Reza grew into a tall, strong, and determined young man whose path would be forged through the rough and unforgiving world of military life. At the age of 16, he joined a Cossack Brigade, a Persian military force trained by Russian officers, where he quickly stood out for his physical endurance, discipline, and raw leadership qualities. Rising steadily through the ranks over 2 decades, Reza displayed a mastery of both tactics and politics, earning the respect of his superiors and the attention of foreign powers who saw in him a capable and commanding figure. By the early 1920s, Persia was teetering on the edge of collapse, fragmented by tribal rebellions, dominated by foreign influence, and ruled ineffectively by the weakened Qajar monarchy. In 1921, with the backing of British officers who sought to stabilize Persia and curb Bolshevik expansion, Reza Khan led a coup d'état that overthrew the Qajar government's grip on Tehran. He did not immediately take the throne, instead becoming Minister of War and then Prime Minister, where he began rebuilding the country with military discipline and authoritarian resolve. His vision was one of national sovereignty, modernization, and centralized authority. Reza launched sweeping reforms. He disbanded private militias, curbed tribal autonomy, built a national army, and pursued industrialization with ruthless determination. In 1925, with the Qajar dynasty officially abolished by the parliament, Reza Khan crowned himself Reza Shah Pahlavi, founding the Pahlavi dynasty and proclaiming himself the new monarch of Iran. His rule ushered in one of the most dramatic periods of transformation in Iranian history. Inspired by Western models of nationalism and modernization, particularly Ataturk's secular reforms in Turkey, Reza Shah pushed aggressively to secularize Iran's institutions. He built a national railway system, improved roads, reformed the educational system, reduced clerical influence, changed the legal code, and promoted industrial development. Women were encouraged to unveil, wear Western dress, and access education. Traditional Islamic dress was discouraged, sometimes forcibly. He established Tehran University, founded secular courts, introduced surnames, and even changed Persia's official name to Iran in 1935 to emphasize national identity. However, his drive for progress came at the cost of freedom. Reza Shah brooked no opposition, political parties were banned, dissent was crushed, and thousands of intellectuals, clerics, and critics were imprisoned or exiled. His rule became increasingly authoritarian, relying heavily on a secret police network, press censorship, and harsh punishments. While many admired his modernization agenda, others feared the loss of religious, cultural, and political freedoms. Despite these contradictions, Reza Shah was seen as a symbol of national revival and resistance against foreign domination. Determined to eliminate British and Russian interference in Iran's affairs, he tried to balance foreign relations, but his mistrust of both colonial powers pushed him to seek closer ties with Germany, which by the late 1930s had become Iran's largest trading partner. This alarmed Britain and the Soviet Union, especially as World War II loomed and Iran's strategic oil reserves and railway lines became vital to Allied logistics. In 1941, after Germany's invasion of the USSR and fearing Iran might tilt toward the Axis powers, Britain and the Soviet Union launched a joint invasion of Iran, citing Reza Shah's refusal to expel German nationals as justification. Facing overwhelming pressure, Reza Shah was forced to abdicate in favor of his young son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, ending his reign in humiliation. Exiled first to Mauritius and then to Johannesburg, South Africa, Reza Shah spent his final years in isolation, reflecting bitterly on the empire he built and lost. He died on July 26, 1944, in Johannesburg, far from the country he had so radically transformed. His remains were later returned to Iran, where his legacy remained, and still remains, deeply contested. To some, Reza Shah was a brutal dictator who ruled with an iron fist, silenced religion, and suppressed freedom. To others, he was the architect of modern Iran, who pulled the nation from medieval stagnation into the 20th century. He was a man shaped by hardship, driven by vision, and consumed by power, a soldier who rose from humble origins to become a king, determined to break Iran's chains and redefine its future, even if by force. His legacy would live on through his son's troubled reign and in the continued tension between secularism and religion, nationalism and tradition, modernization and identity that defines Iran to this day.